So I'm gonna go ahead and record this. I'm gonna tell a quick story about. So we were just totally jamming out to a song that somebody brought up the DJ thing, and I've always wanted to be a DJ. I have DJed. I DJed a lot when I was younger, but not nearly like the real DJs on Twitch that do it. And I have all the kind of respect for them. But I do have a story about this. So, and by the way, if you have the inclination to do this, I strongly encourage it. It's a really fun activity. So, um, this is not a technical topic. This is absolutely just fun. So I got a PA and a really big subwoofer. Um, Sometime after the divorce, I was sad, and I playing guitars, and my dream was to, just be able to live surfing on the beach and busking, for my meals and things like that. I mean, obviously, I didn't go with that with the tech job, but at the time, um, I, I was really, I mean, I've always really, really loved music, and it's always been there for me when everything else has not been music, and of course my health. And so here's how the story goes. So I made a lot of friends with a bunch of single people, and we hung out together a lot. And um, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be in life and who I wanted to be, and my philosophy on life, and what I was gonna, yeah, karaoke. Actually, I actually went to a karaoke bar with Randall Schwartz, who wrote "Learning Pearl," for example. This is way before that. That was before my. That was actually shortly after my first marriage. Anyway, so music has been a thing. And so after the divorce, I was like, well, the one thing I'm sure of is music, and I started doing music. I started hanging out with singles, and um, I would bring my guitar everywhere and do things. And so one of the activities that we did, and this is the story, one of the activities that we ended up doing is, I think her name was Cheryl, but she put together an event where um, we, she goes, you should DJ for the old folks home. We should set up. We were a bunch of singles that were just involved with doing. There was actually a singles group that was dedicated to doing service, and I know that that's a branded term, so to speak, but that's what it was. We would go out and do nice things and help others together, and we were all single, so it gave us something to do besides wondering if that person was going to be the one or something. We just go have fun together and help people out. So one of the activities, so this the Cheryl, who organized it, she said, it would be so cool if we could like DJ at an old folks home. And this was one of the most spectacular experiences in my entire life. And I would give anything to have it recorded. I have the images of it burned in my brain, and I'm telling you the story now because it was such a positive experience, and maybe somebody else can recreate this experience for themselves. It's such a simple thing, but it is so powerful. And I don't think there's a number of lessons learned here. The power of music. So let's get into it. So um, I had my little, I just remember driving there and pulling all the gear in, and it was a pretty heavy subwoofer, and it had a pole on it, and then it had the top PA. It was just a single PA system, and they set us up in this little teeny tiny itsy bitsy open courtyard. Then there was like ferns and some shade and some trees and stuff. It wasn't inside of the senior center. It was actually kind of this little um, kind of pretty garden space. It wasn't very big, but it was like in the middle of it, and so they were putting all this stuff all around, and it was Cheryl Chrono. I actually remember her last name, and I'm not going to say it because TOS, but um, and so they had these like little folding chairs along the sides of this relatively small area, but there was this garden space, and because it was kind of enclosed, I didn't realize it, but it had really good acoustics. Oh my God. I mean, it had really good acoustics. It had brick walls, which would normally be really bright, but there was a bunch of trees and stuff, and vegetation. So it ended up being this like absolutely perfect acoustic place to even just have a mono signal. It wasn't, we just had the one PA. And if you know anything about sound engineering, which I've always dabbled in, I've never been a real pro, but I've run concerts and stuff. Anyway, so I just pulled out my phone or my iPod or whatever it was, and one by one, the orderly people, I don't know what to call them, brought out these very old people who had lived through Many of them had lived through the war. This was, of course, this was what was this back in 2009? I want to say 2010. Um, so I mean, these people had seen a lot of life, and many of the people that they wheeled out. I remember one woman in particular. She was rather hunched over, and she had a really hard time getting to her seat. Um, and there's these absolutely amazing human beings that were helping them, get to their seat and have a seat and everything, sit down. And I will never forget it because I was like at this little table, and I was down on the same floor as them. There was no stage or anything. And all the other single people were like really busy. They'd gotten them hulas. I remember this now. They'd gotten them grass skirts, made out of hula stuff, and they had like different hats and thing. And so all the singles are like helping these elderly kind of dress up and have fun for this party. And I mean, it was just one of the most rewarding things I've ever seen. And I was, DJing back there, and I was like, what the hell do I play for these people? And so I like we were putting all this, hula beachy stuff on, and I was like, well, I'm gonna take a stab in the dark here. I bet they know Elvis. so I got my Spotify playlist, and I punched up Elvis playlist. And I had to do the automatic thing, and so it pulled all of this music from the Elvis era, Beach Boys. I know it's horrible. And it brought. I mean, it wasn't just Elvis. I remember there was Beach Boys, and there was some Elvis, and there was some other stuff that I didn't even know about. And I plugged it in, and that music came through. I mean, the real powerful thing is bass. If you've got a good bass system, I don't need to tell you this. Anybody who's been around any kind of party, you know that if you've got really good sound and it's vibrating and it's piping right into your bones, you can tell. And so these absolutely beautiful, wonderful people were just, you could just see at first they were like kind of tentative, and they were smiling and they were happy, and the because everybody's really happy getting them all dressed up to have this party and everything. But once I plugged in that music, that group of seniors came alive. I mean, it was like I had taken electrodes and I just attached it to them and give them they got up. They got up. They these are people that are having a hard time like walking to their chairs, and they were standing up, and they were like doing their little thing, and they were just, I mean, they were, and it was so glorious. I mean, it was just the best thing ever. And they were like moving around, and they were like thinking, and the one would like touch the other one, and I mean, they could barely move. You could tell it was like taking everything in them. And then and they were, they probably, nobody got hurt, thank God. It could have, there could have been an accident. I mean, there could have seriously been any kind of accident. I mean, they let go, and they weren't even drunk or anything. And but it's a testament to the power of music, and just a joyous song, of life. The music from your era, it just speaks to you, and there's just something absolutely phenomenal about being a DJ or somebody who can facilitate that emotion in people through music by finding the music that they like or by writing it. But in this case, in a very simple way, just connecting them with the music from their youth. And it was such a simple thing, but I cannot overly recommend that activity. If you have any interest at all in helping out, particularly with the elderly or anything like that, or you have access to sound equipment, it is really, really fun to do that. And so the whole thing concluded, and I was like, all I had to do was really push stop on the playlist. I didn't have to do anything. I just had to have the equipment. And they kind of shipped all these people out, and the orderly came. I kid you not, one of the orderlies came up to me, and she said, this does make me a little bit emotional. She said, that woman has never gotten out of her chair since she's been here. And blew me away, because she had kind of resigned herself to, this is my life. And this woman had found the energy and the strength to actually leave her wheelchair. One of them was in a wheelchair. And she got up, and the orderly came to me, and she made a point of telling me about it. She said, I want you to understand how valuable this was to these people. Thank you so much. And so do that. Shut up.